Hi, Jen Maleka here, your functional diagnostic health coach expert and personal trainer with TravelFit. And this week I'm following up from last week's video and email because it created so much controversy that I wanted to address. And controversy in a good way. It means that you guys are actually reading my emails and starting to think about this stuff. So, first off, I want to say that the controversy was over the 90-10 rule, if you didn't catch that from the email, and how I was saying that the 90-10 rule was the new baseline, or was actually the new rule in general, what I believe in, versus the old 80-20 rule. And don't get me wrong, I haven't always been this way. This is an evolution that I have come to and a conclusion myself based upon my experience with my own health. But I find it to be true amongst so many people that once they are actually abiding by the 90-10 rule, they're making so much more progress in their health and actually maintaining the results that they're getting. Versus on the 80-20 rule, sometimes they tend to take 5 steps forward and 2 or 3 steps backwards. So when I sent out this email last week talking about this, I got a lot of responses. Some were positive responses and some were borderline freakouts. But with the borderline freakouts, the most common kind of denominator with all of them is that people were feeling like the 90-10 rule was going to strip them from all of their last few pleasures that they had left in life. And some of these things included, but my one glass of wine at night is my release at the end of a long day, or, my cheese is one of my few pleasures in life, and my cheat day is how I reward myself at the end of the week after working out so hard. Or if I abided by the 90-10 rule, then it would cut off my social life of whatever I have left. And I totally get that. That's how I used to feel also. But if you're feeling that way, then the question that I pose to you is what really wants to be nourished. Because let's be real, we're using some of those things as comforts and as nourishment to fill a hole or a void in some place in our life usually. And this was some of the work that I had to do on myself too. So it wasn't that long ago, like I said, that I was living in a whole different place where I was living by the 80-20 rule. I was working, 12-hour days. I was commuting to and from work with about an hour or so of traffic. Life happened to me too. I had a family member that got deathly ill but luckily lived. I had a family member that went through recovery. I bought a house. I got married. I traded one stressful job for another. I mean, there's always something that's happening. There's always an excuse that we could be making for our health. But when do you put a stop to it and actually take a stand for yourself? Because life will always happen. We can't stop it from happening. Well, for me, I eventually just reached my rock bottom, essentially. I was working these really long weeks, depriving myself during the day, not taking time for myself. So by the time I got to the weekend, I would basically binge on food and booze and social engagements all weekend long in order to make up for everything that I had lost during the week. And what did that really get me? It left me feeling fatigued, a ton of anxiety came along with it, and my weight always fluctuated. So at some point, I don't know exactly when, again, it just kind of evolved, but I hit that rock bottom and I decided that it wasn't really worth it anymore, that my health was more important to me than a lot of those superficial things that I was using to fill some kind of void in my life. And the biggest void was just actually not putting myself first and taking care of the things that I needed the most, whether that was taking 5 minutes a day to step outside and get some sun, maybe taking 10 minutes a day to meditate, and just creating like space for me in my life, essentially. So I started putting myself first. I refused to work over 8 hours a day. I made sure that I was making time to meditate and to cook my food and to get in a workout. I started going to yoga. I became super protective over my sleep and very mindful of everything that I was putting in my mouth, and realized that the value of feeling better in my own body was so much more important and valuable to me than any of the food or the wine or the other things that are out there that distract us sometimes. I have to take care of me, because if I don't take care of me, who else is going to take care of me, essentially? So this is something that I work with my clients on too. This is how not only myself, but a lot of people land in this position with declined health and allergies and sickness and all these things, is that we let life run us into the ground. So what I chose to do was take back control and not let life have control of me anymore. I decided that I had a choice all the time, and no matter what situation it was, and I would always choose me first. And that doesn't mean that I don't care about anybody else or anything else. It just means that I'm always going to choose me first and make sure that my health and myself is taken care of. Now, I've had many clients that have gone through this also, where they've changed jobs or they've moved in order to better support their health, and it doesn't happen automatically. This is maybe after weeks or even a couple of months of coaching to work on this mindset shift, to start asking the really big questions of what wants to be nourished in your life. What are you basically settling for or just tolerating that you really don't need to be? And what is it that you can choose differently? The more I started asking myself these questions, the more shifts and transformation that started to come, to the point where I started living just a healthier life overall. I was making healthy, conscious choices and decisions for myself the majority of the time, versus destructive ones that were causing me to maybe binge at the end of the week, or overindulge in food or alcohol or whatever it might be. So I challenge you to start asking yourself these questions. The next time that you go to reach for that glass of wine or that glutinous treat or work overtime, I want you to stop for a second and ask yourself, what wants to be nourished in this moment? What is it that I'm trying to comfort myself with? Or what void is it that I'm trying to fill? And you'd be really surprised at some of the responses that you might get out of yourself from that, and some of the changes that will happen. Now, if you're interested in making more shifts in your life like this, then I want to invite you to set up an Ideal Health and weight discovery session with me, so that we can talk more about this. In my coaching programs, I blend a mixture of science and transformational coaching to help people shift their behaviors and their beliefs so that they have long-lasting results. And in this consultation or this discovery session, we can start to pull out some of the things that might be holding you back from making healthy choices for yourself all the time, then are in alignment with exactly how you would like to be feeling. So you can go ahead and click on the link below to set up your Ideal Health and Weight Discovery session, or hop on back to the email and click on the link from there. So I hope that clears up all the controversy for this week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Have a good week.